In this video, we're going to show you how to install pads and rotors on your Explorer Interceptor located behind your rear wheels. With the vehicle raised and supported, we're going to go ahead and use a small pry bar to go ahead and pop off the center cap. Get behind the lip there, pry that out. I'm going to use a 19mm socket to go ahead and loosen and remove the lug nuts. Grab that wheel, remove it, and set it aside. We want to go ahead and remove our brake caliper here, and there are two 13mm bolts, one right here and one on the top. So we're going to use our socket and our ratchet. Loosen and remove these. Now as we're loosening our bolt here, the slide pin on the inside here is rotating with it, and it's a 17mm on the inside. So what we're going to do is use a 17mm thin wall wrench to hold that, and you might be able to use some needle nose pliers in there to hold that. Let's go ahead and get that upper bolt. Now our upper bolt is coming out without any issues, so I don't have to hold the pin itself. Now I'm going to use a flathead screwdriver. You can use a small pry bar if you want. And I'm going to go in between, up in the notch on the top of the caliper here, between the brake pad and the caliper, and I'm going to pull towards me. And what this is going to do is going to push that piston in to my caliper a little bit. Now we're going to use our pry bar and get between the caliper and the bracket, and we're going to work this up and off of the brake rotor. Pull that up and off. Now in most cases you can just go ahead and set this off to the side, just like so, and it'll just kind of hang out there. Let's go ahead and remove our brake pads here. The inboard pad, you're going to push it in towards the vehicle. Outboard pad, you can do the same, just pull it outward. You might need some assistance of a screwdriver or your pry bar to pull that out. On the back side here, there's a bolt right here, and there's a bolt on the top. I want to go ahead and loosen and remove those. And use our 15mm socket on our ratchet. You can use a breaker bar if you want to do this. I'm not going to remove that completely yet. I want to go ahead and break this one free and get this one spinning. If you remove that bottom bolt, chances are that whole caliper will start to flip up on you when you go to loosen and remove the upper one. So you want to break them both free and then remove the bolts. Once that bolt is out, just take that caliper bracket, pull it out, and set it aside. Now we want to go ahead and remove our brake rotor next. Now if your vehicle has this Torx bit screw here, you need to loosen and remove that before you remove the rotor. If this is missing on your vehicle, it's not critical to the operation of your brakes. Simply go ahead and remove your brake rotor. I'm going to use our T40 Torx bit and our ratchet here, and remove this. Now, for any reason, if you should strip this out and you can't get it out, what you want to do is take a drill bit that's a little bit larger than that T40 bit and drill out the center. That's going to allow the ring of the screw itself to fall off. You'll be then allowed to remove the brake rotor. Simply use a pair of pliers to grab the remainder of the stud and unthread it. With the screw removed, go ahead and remove your rotor. Now you want to go ahead and clean your hub face in preparation of the new rotor. Now you can use a bristle brush, and what you want to do is go around the perimeter here where the rotor is going to sit on. And you also want to check the outer ridge here. And you're going to be looking for any rust buildup. Go ahead and spray it down with some solvent. Now sometimes if you have an excessive amount of scale on here, you want to go ahead and use something like an air tool or something with a little disc to just kind of clean up the surface here. Now for any reason, if you don't get all of that rust off of here and you go to put your rotor on and it's not sitting flush on the hub face, when you install everything and you start going down the road, the rotor is going to naturally wobble as it rotates, and is going to cause a brake pedal pulsation as soon as you start going down the road. You want to make sure your backing plate is in good shape. Just do an overall inspection of that backing plate, clean it up a little bit if you want. Let's now go ahead and treat the hub face and put some anti-seize compound on that surface. You can use the brush on, you can use a spray if you want. Now you want to go ahead and grab your brake rotor. Now normally when you get these here, they're going to be in a plastic bag and they're going to be coated in an oil coating. Use some spray solvent, clean the front as well as the back, dry it off. Install your rotor. Now, if you're going to be using the screw here, you want to make sure that the hole lines up with the hole in the hub, obviously. And then go ahead and grab that screw and install that. Now, here's a little tip for you. If you don't have the screw, it's going to be nice and handy to go ahead and just grab one of your lug nuts. Throw that onto one of the studs and crank it all the way down. That's going to hold that rotor in place up against that hub while you assemble everything else. You just want that to be snug. Let's go ahead and prep our brake caliper bracket. I'm going to start by removing our sliders here. Now when I remove these here, you can see there's all kinds of junk stuck in here. And our brake pads were actually frozen in here because they weren't clean and they weren't allowing the pad to slide around. I'm going to go ahead and dispose of these here. Next thing we want to do is go ahead and remove our slide pins. So what you're going to do is going to grab that rubber boot, grab that pin and twist and pull. And it should come out like so. Now what you might experience is that this pin is stuck in here. So what you might have to do is put this pin in a vise and grab the caliper bracket and spin it around to get that to remove or come out. Next thing you want to do is remove the rubber boots. You're going to grab around the base and just peel that off. Now when you remove these, you want to go ahead and inspect them so you can pinch and roll. And what you're looking for is any splits or tears in the boots. That's going to allow moisture or debris to get inside there, causing your slide pins to stick. Now, if your slide pin is stuck in the caliper bracket, chances are it's due to the fault of a bad boot. Get a rebuild kit that will come with the boots and possibly slide pins. Everything looks good here. Now let's go ahead and prepare our bracket here. I'm going to use a bristle brush and start to clean where the original sliders were. Our goal here is to clean up any rusty debris. Now it's imperative that you have a clean, flat surface here so that when we install our new sliders, they fit flush in here. If they don't, that can also be the cause of your brake pads starting to bind and locking up. If you have to, go ahead and grab a flat file. Clean up that rusty debris. And give it a spray with some solvent. Wipe it down, inspect it, and continue this process until you're comfortable that everything is nice and smooth. Once you're satisfied there, flip it over and do the same here. Now, we're not here to remove any metal. Just clean up that rust. Next part of preparing this is we need to clean out where these slide pins go. Now you want to make sure that you're wearing safety glasses when doing this next step. Let's go ahead and spray some solvent inside this port. Use a bore brush and clean out the old grease and debris that's in there. Flush it out. Do the same for the other port. When you're cleaning this here, don't forget to clean up around where the rubber boots seat. Give this a quick wipe down. And then we're just going to set this with the cylinders facing down to let any residual solvent come out. We're going to switch over to cleaning our slide pins. So go ahead and grab one of the slide pins and wipe off any of the old grease that's on there. One of your pins might have a rubber dampener on it. You want to check it for splits or anything like that, any type of damage that would cause this to be inoperative. Ours is in really good, clean condition, as well as our pin. Do the same for the other one. This one here is a solid pin without a dampener. Now, if you have rust buildup on this here, you can go ahead and try running underneath your wire wheel and clean it up. But if it is scaly and rusty, it's always a good bet to go ahead and replace these, which you're probably going to get with your boots. Ours are in good, reasonable condition. Let's switch back over here to our caliper bracket itself. Take your boots. Clean the inside of the boot of some of that old grease the best you can. You want to go ahead and pop this on. Give that a little spin, make sure that's fully seated. I'm going to take a little bit of our silicone paste here, not a lot, put on the inside of that boot. I'm going to take some and put some on the slide pin. Now we don't want a ton on this here. Thin coat, so run your glove on that, just give it a thin coat. Now if you add too much, you're going to hydrolock this unit in there. So you're going to push it in, and it's going to be such a tight seal because you have so much grease sealing it. It's going to trap the air in this, and it's going to push the pin out. You don't want that. So if it happens to do that, might do this a couple times. Take it out, clean it a little bit more, put it back in. You want to go ahead and pull back on this boot. Push that in, and then work that boot up onto that pin. Give it a good rotation. You can see that pin fits in there perfect, and it stays tight. I'm going to repeat this process for the other pin. Wipe out the grooves here or the tracks where your sliders are going to go. Now these are position specific. So when installing these here, the larger portion of the clip is going to go on the outside, little clip on the inside. Tall section is going to go on the back and the little section on the front. And you can only pretty much fit it on one way. Before installing those, take that silicone paste. Go ahead and put a thin coat here. Smear it with your glove. You do not want a ton on here, just a thin coat. Wipe off the excess. Grab this here. That's the right one for this side here. And push that in and press it down. So basically I like to hook the inside and then push it down, rolling my finger out, and this large tab will actually engage it. Do the same on this one. You're going to hook the inside, push down on the outside, and it pretty much falls right down into place. You want to make sure that it's fully seated. Very, very important. Flip it over. We're going to do the same here. Make sure that there is no grease on the inside of these slides. Wipe out any dirt that might be sitting there. And we are not going to be putting grease on the inside of this stainless here, because if you do put grease, that's going to be a prime spot for dirt to collect, causing the old pads to stick like this old setup was. That's not what we want. At this point here, our caliper bracket is rebuilt and ready for installation. Now let's go ahead and turn our direction to our caliper itself. Now this type of piston itself is a screw-in design, it's not a compression type, so you are going to need a specific tool. Sometimes you can put needle nose pliers on this and rotate it clockwise and screw this in. We're going to use the proper tool to do this here. I'm going to go ahead and spray a little bit of rust penetrant lube inside here. We should be able to go ahead and crank this in. And what this is doing is it's rotating our piston in here. Now I sprayed that around there to hopefully loosen up the rubber boot on the piston itself that is located right here. So when we turn this in, it doesn't twist that boot. Now what we're going to do is we're pretty much going to spin this all the way in until it's flush. And this is actually pretty tight using the tool specific for this. If you're using needle nose pliers, this job probably isn't going to get done, but you may at least attempt it if you want to. You can see that our piston is pretty much flush with our rubber seal. That tells me that we're almost close to bottoming out, and there it is right there. Now the key thing that we need to pay attention to here is right where these pins went into on our piston. There's one at 12 o'clock, one at 6 o'clock. On your pads, there's going to be a little dimple, a little tab, and this needs to line up with one of those notches. So when we're screwing this in, we need to get those tabs lined up 12 and 6. If it's off, this little button here isn't going to line up with that piston, and that means that when you step on the brake, it's going to push this crooked. It's not going to be locked in place, and it's going to cause this to wear like a wedge. That's not good. I'll try and get this as close as possible to that 12. And there it is right there. There it is. You can see that our holes here are lined up 12 and 6. Now this part here is ready for installation. You can always check the back side here of these ears to make sure that they're rust free. In most cases they always are because the pad's been up against it, but if you feel that it's scaly or rusty, go ahead and file it down a little bit and you should be good to go. Now we're going to tuck that off to the side again because that is ready to go. Next we're going to install our caliper bracket. Go ahead and take your caliper bracket, lower it down into place, and I like to go ahead and take the upper bolt, feed that in and get that started first, and get that started just a couple threads. Once you get started a few threads, let's go ahead and do the same for the bottom. You can just push that in and then just grab that caliper bracket and wiggle it around and it'll line right up. Spin that in a few threads. Now if you want to, you can thread these in as far as you can by hand. They're usually pretty easy to do so. Go ahead and grab that ratchet, flip it to tighten, and let's snug these down. Now we will torque these down once we get everything installed, but you do want to go ahead and snug that down. Go ahead and grab your brake pads. I'm going to insert these into the sliders. Go ahead and push those in until the pad is flush with the rotor. I'm going to go ahead and do the same for the outside. Now at this point, go ahead and grab your caliper, slide that right over, and push that down and on. You might have to push in on your slide pins to get that caliper down in a position. You can install the upper or lower, it doesn't matter. Once you get one started, just repeat for the top. Gently snug that down. You don't want to make that super tight because the torque spec for these are pretty low. And snug that down gently. Let's get and torque down our caliper to bracket bolts to 24 foot-pounds. Let's torque down our caliper bracket to knuckle bolts to 76 foot-pounds. Now we did switch over to a deep socket here for the torquing so we can get the range here. Now after you've torqued this down, if you need to replace the brakes on the other side, go ahead and do so. Once you're done with that, hop into the vehicle. You want to go ahead and pump up that brake pedal. The first 3 to 4 pumps are going to go to the floor because what you have to do is push these pistons out and compress these pads. Upon that 4th, 5th, or maybe even 6th compression, the brake pedal should firm up. Install your wheels. Grab your wheel, line it up on the studs, and get your lug nuts started. Want to make sure you get these on several threads. And when tightening these down, you want to make sure that you do it in a crisscross or star pattern. And just snug them down. Then you want to go ahead and torque down the lug nuts to 110 foot-pounds. When doing so, you want to do this in a crisscross pattern. After it's torqued, go ahead and grab that center cap, line it up, and pop it on.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.